Hey, what's with Charter? Welcome back. Coach Stevens here again. We're gonna do a base running lesson today. It's gonna piggyback off our baseball lesson, baseball 101. Okay, so this is gonna be all about base running. We're gonna talk about these things. All right, we're gonna know when to run, when not to run. We kind of struggle with this stuff when we play baseball, kickball a lot at school. We get confused on when we're able to run and when we're not able to run. So I'm gonna go over all that in detail. Let me just say this, for my TK, my kinder, even my first grade, this can get a little confusing for them. I just try to get them to run in the right direction to make sure they know where the actual bases are. So all of this gets a little in-depth about how to run, and it may be a little confusing for them. You can, by all means, show it to them, and if they comprehend it, great. But this could be a little too much for them to kind of understand, I think. So, like I said, show it if you want, but you don't have to if you don't want to. But second grade, third grade, fourth, and fifth, we need to start. A lot of my third, fourth, and fifth should know some of this already, but even you guys and girls still get confused on it. But it would be good for second, third, fourth, and fifth to check this lesson out, okay? But it could be a little confusing for my younger students, okay? So let's just hop right into it, okay? So base running, base running, base running. That's basically after you hit the ball and you run the bases, or if you're already on the bases when someone's up to bat. We need to know when to run and when not to run, all right? Because if you're running when you're not supposed to be running, you're going to get outs for your teams, and it's not going to benefit your team, okay? So a lot of times we get double plays because we're running at a time when we're not supposed to be running, okay? So let's go ahead and go over all of this right here, okay? So a force out and a tag out are two different things, okay? A force out is when you just have to step on the base with the ball, or catch the ball and step on the base to get the runner out. And a tag out is when you literally have to tag the runner with the ball before they get to the base, and get them out that way, okay? So we're gonna go over how you get a force out. And a tag out's pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, you just tag the runner with the ball before they get to the base, okay? A pop out is basically when the ball's hit up in the air and you catch it out of the air. That's called a pop up, or a fly ball, whatever you want to call it. But that's a pop out, and there's going to be times when we can run and not run during that. And we're going to go over what a tag up is. Tagging up is something you do when there's a pop out, okay? Then we're going to go over what some leadoffs are, what a stolen base is, and how we get some double plays, okay? Once again, I have a giant helicopter flying over me, so I'm going to wait a second to let that pass. Virtual teaching, huh? This is where we're at. Alright, sounds like it's almost over. Okay, so that's what we are all going to go over in today's lesson, okay? And like I said, base running is very important in baseball. If we don't know how to run the bases or properly run the bases, then we're going to be hurting our team, okay? So here we go. Let's just go over, I'm going to go over the most important thing, what a force out is and what a tag out is, okay? So these are going to be my base runners right here. So we're going to pretend like there's a batter up here and there is a runner on first base, okay? So let me just start out by saying, anytime the ball is hit up in the air, if you're a base runner, you should never just take off running right away as soon as the ball is hit in the air. So many times, students, when we play at school, someone hits the ball up in the air and the base runners just take off running as fast as they can, because they're not realizing that if they catch the ball in the air, you have to go back to the base that you were at. And if they catch the ball in the air and you take off running without tagging up, then they're going to throw the ball back to first, step on the base, and you're going to be out also. So they would get 2 outs on that play. The person that hit the ball would be out because they caught it in the air, and then the person that took off running would be out because they did not tag up, okay? Now let me go over what a tag up is. I'm sorry, a tag up. So tagging up is exactly what I just said. When the ball's hit up in the air, you as a base runner should maybe run just a little bit and watch the ball. If you see the ball hit the ground and they don't catch it, then you can run without tagging up. Tagging up means you need to step on the base before you run to the next base. And you have to step on the base after they catch the ball, okay? So as soon as you see them catch the ball, here's what I recommend you do. The ball's hit in the air, you're gonna take a couple steps and watch the ball. If you see the ball does not get caught, then you can just take off running from there. You don't have to go back to your base. You take a couple steps. If you see the center fielder caught the ball out of the air, you need to go back to the base, step on the base, and then you can run to second if you think you're going to be able to make it there, okay? But you have to tag up. It's called tagging up, okay? Basically means you have to wait for the person to catch the ball in the air. If they catch it, you need to touch the base that you're on, and then you can advance to the next base. If you just, they hit the ball, you take off running, and they catch it, like I said, and you didn't tag up, they will just throw the ball back to the base and get you out, and it will be 2 outs, okay? So tagging up, tagging up, tagging up is very important. And that happens anytime the ball is hit in the air. You never have to tag up when the ball's hit on the ground. When it's a ground ball, usually you just have to run. But anytime the ball is hit up into the air, very important that we just don't take off running. Like I said, if they catch it, tag the base, and then you can run, okay? But like I said, if you see the ball also and you just know that it's gonna get, and it's hit well and there's no way you know anyone's gonna catch it, then just take off running, okay? But if it's hit in the air and you see that there's a chance that some of the outfielders or some of the field players might be able to catch it out of the air, then you need to tag up, okay? And that is what tagging up is. And like I said, a lot of times at school, we just take off running. We don't even look to see where the ball was hit or what the situation is, and then we end up getting double plays, triple plays, okay? So tag up, that's called tagging up, all right? Make sure we do that. And that is what that is, okay? Now let's go over if it's hit on the ground. That's when the ball's hit up in the air. Like I said, we don't have to tag up if the ball's hit on the ground. But there are times when the ball's hit on the ground where we don't have to run, when we're not forced to run, and that is something that confuses students also. And I'm going to go over that, and that's going to entail what a force out is, okay? So let's pretend like we have a runner on first, and the batter's up, okay? If the ball is hit on the ground anywhere on the field, this runner has to run to second no matter what. Why? Because they are being forced to run to the next base, because the batter that just hit the ball, they have to advance to first. So when there's someone behind you on the base and the bases are stacked up, you must run, okay? So boom, he hits it, he or she hits it, this runner must advance to the next base, okay? And while this is happening, if the field players get the ball, all they have to do to get this runner out is step on the base. They don't have to tag him out in this situation because he is being forced to run to the next base. So when you are forced to run to the next base, the fielders only have to step on the base with the ball to get that runner out, okay? And that's why it's called a force out, because they are being forced to run to the next base, okay? So same situation here. If we have a runner, here's our batter. If we have a runner on first and second, the ball is hit on the ground, all these runners have to run to the next base, okay? So this person is being forced to run there, they are being forced to run there, and they are being forced to run there. So in that same situation, when the ball is hit on the ground, now the infielders here, all they need to do to get either person out is step on any base with the ball. So they could step on third base and get this runner out, step on second to get this runner out, or just step on first to get the hitter out. Why? Because they're being forced to run to the next base because there are runners behind them, okay? This would be a situation where the bases are loaded. Same situation, they are all being forced to run to the next base because the bases are stacked up behind them. In this situation, if the ball's hit on the ground, they would preferably throw it to home to stop this runner from scoring a run. And they would only have to step on the base to get these runners out. They would not have to tag them with the ball, okay? Remember, this is only if it's hit as a ground ball, not in the air. If it's still hit in the air, all these runners want to see if it's going to be caught or not. If it's caught, we do what? We go back to our base and tag up, and then we can advance. And if they drop the ball or it doesn't get caught, then you can just run, okay? But this would be bases loaded situation. When bases are loaded, everyone is a force out. Why? Because they are being forced to run because there's someone behind them forcing them to run to the next base, okay? And those are what force outs are. All right, and now I'm gonna go over a situation to where you're gonna get maybe confused, but I'm gonna show you when you don't have to run, okay? So when the ball's hit on the ground. You don't always have to run if the ball's hit on the ground, unless you're being forced to run, okay? So here we go. So right here, situation, let's say the batter's up, and this is going to be situations where the runners are not forced to run to the next base, okay? So this is the batter, and let's say this person hit a double and they made it to second base, okay? Now, this runner is no longer forced to run on any ball that's hit. So, you know, the air, we already know what to do when the ball's hit in the air, hopefully, okay? Now we're going over ground balls. Ground balls is when it's hit on the ground, okay? So now this runner does not have to run to third if it's hit on the ground. Why? Because there's no one on first forcing them to run to this way. If there was a runner here and the ball was hit on the ground, this person would have to run here and this person would have to run here. But because there's no one on first, they are no longer forced to run. Because this batter could hit it to third base. Third base could be standing right there. You don't want to run to third, they'll just tag you out. The base is open in front of the person on second, so that means this person can run here without forcing this person to run to third, okay? Hopefully you understood that and are not too confused. So basically, if the bases are not stacked up behind you, you do not have to run. For example, right here, if there's a runner on second and third and there's no runner on first, these two are no longer forced to run, okay? If they hit the ball out here, they by all means should run and can run, but they are no longer forced to run, okay? Why? Because there's no one behind them, all right? I mean, there's no one, the bases have to be stacked up completely behind you. So if you're on third, in order for it to be a force out, there needs to be a runner on second and first, okay? If there's just a runner on second, you are no longer forced to run. And if there's just you on third, you are no longer forced to run, okay? But like I said, if there's a runner here and there, then you are forced to run. Same situation if there is a runner, on second and third. I think I just did that. Neither of these two have to run because there's no runner on first, all right? Now, this situation right here. See how it gets a little confusing? Now, we have a runner on first and third, all right? Only one of these runners is forced to run. Can you guys tell me who it is? Which runner is forced to run here when it's hit on the ground? Is this person forced to run? Would you say yes or no? If you said yes, then that is the wrong answer. If you said no, you had the right answer. This person is not forced to run because the bases are not stacked up behind them. If there was a runner here, yes, they would be forced to run. But because there's no one behind them, not forced. All right? This person, however, on first base is forced to run. Why? Because there is the batter who becomes the runner is behind them. So when he bats, he or she bats, he has to run, and now he has to run. But this person does not have to run. Now they can run if they want to, but they do not have to. All right? So in this situation right here, it would be this person is forced to run, this person is not. All right? And if they wanted to get this person out, it was hit on the ground, all they would have to do is step on the base to get this runner out. If this runner was hit on the ground and decided to run, because they were not forced to run, they now have to tag this runner with the ball. They cannot just throw it to home plate and step on home plate. Why? Because they were not being forced to run, which means it was not a force out. And if it's not a force out, you have to do a tag out, which means you have to tag them with the ball. Okay? So this situation is a little bit tricky situation, to where this runner is a force out and this runner needs to be tagged out. Okay? Yeah. I hope you guys, and this is why I understand it gets confusing and why you guys get confused at school, because it can be confusing. If you didn't grow up playing baseball or you never played on a little league team, then all of this, you know, takes a little work to figure out and realize when it's a force out, when it's a tag out, when you can run, when you can't run. Okay, so like I said, it gets all confusing, but hopefully this helps. All right, so once again, bases loaded, everyone is a force out, tag any base to get them out. What's another situation that I forgot? Did I forget one? Once again, if runners are here, both these runners are force outs because they must advance, they must advance, they must advance. Okay, so there you go with the difference between a force out and a tag out. A force out is when the runners are being forced to the base. A tag out is when they are not forced to the base but still choose to run to the base. You now have to tag them with the ball. Okay? So yeah, a little confusing. I hope I didn't confuse you even more. Hopefully this helps and didn't do the opposite. Alright, so there we go with force outs and tag outs. Alright, and now we're gonna go over a couple things such as, oh no, I'm messing it up. Stolen bases. Let's see here. Okay, so we went over the force out, the tag out. We know what a pop-up is, and we know what a tag-up is now, right? Boys and girls, just remember, I know you're probably still confused because I feel like I didn't explain it good enough, but counting the batter, if the bases are stacked up behind you, you must run. If there's an opening behind you, you no longer have to run. You don't have to run in this situation. You don't have to run in that situation. If you're on first, you do have to run in this situation because you're being forced to run, okay? Just remember, if there's an open base behind you, if there's no one on base, if there's an open base somewhere behind you, whether it's this one or this one, you are not forced to run, okay? All right, now I'm gonna end it there because I feel like I'm overdoing it, all right? So there you go with that. And now we're gonna go over a couple other things which are pretty basic, which are a leadoff. All right, so in baseball, I do not let you guys lead off because we're doing slow pitch, and when you slow pitch, it's too easy to steal bases. but it is still part of the sport, so I want to teach it to you, even though I don't allow you guys to do it at school. If you go out and play baseball, this is part of the game, okay? So a leadoff is when, remember, we always need to be on the base so they can't get us out. But a leadoff is when the pitcher's about to pitch and you're going to take a couple steps off the base in attempt to give yourself a little head start when they hit the ball. Remember, they hit it in the air. You don't want to take off running. You want to come back to the base and see what happens. But if you're on first and it's hit on the ground, you want a little lead off because it's giving you a little head start to get you closer to the next base so you can get there hopefully quicker, and it's going to be harder for them to get you out, okay? And then that's what a lead off is. You basically just take a couple steps off the base and towards the base that you're about to run to give you a little bit of a head start. Like I said, we don't do this at Westwood, but in a real baseball game, that is something that's allowed. And I don't even think they allow that until you get a little older. But yeah, that's what a leadoff is, okay? And then a stolen base is when you lead off, all right? Or you don't even have to lead off, but the pitcher pitches the ball to the catcher, and during that time, you decide to take off and run as fast as you can and try to make it to the next base. The catcher is going to throw the ball to second base and try to beat you there by throwing it before you get there so they can tag you out, okay? And all stolen bases are tag outs, okay? Anyone that's trying to steal a base, when the pitcher throws the ball to the plate, you must tag them every time. You can never just step on the base to get them out. So all stolen bases are tag outs, okay? Remember, you have to tag them with the ball. You cannot just step on the base to get them out, all right? And that's what a stolen base is, all right? You put a lot of your fast people up at the beginning of the lineup, like the first hitter, so when they get on base, hopefully they can steal this base, and then they're already in scoring position, because if this hitter gets a hit, this person can hopefully advance 2 bases and get a run, okay? So stolen bases is a big part of baseball, and very beneficial to the team if you have a lot of fast players that can steal a lot of bases, okay? And that is what a stolen base is. You can steal first to second. If you're a runner on second, you can also steal this here to there. The pitcher pitches to the catcher during that time. If you think you're fast enough to run from second to third before the pitcher throws to the catcher and the catcher throws to third to tag you out, then you can do it. You can even steal home, okay? But this is something you rarely see, because the pitcher just has to throw the ball to the catcher. So if you try to steal home real quick, the pitcher, very easy for them to throw it to the catcher and they'll just tag you out, okay? But stealing home is allowed, but very rarely happens, okay? You'll see a lot of stolen bases from first to second, and even less from second to third, because it's a shorter distance for the catcher to throw to third. It's easier to get them out when you steal third. Harder to get them from first to second, because that's a longer distance for the catcher to throw. So that's the most common time you will see a stolen base is from first to second, all right? And then the super fast players can steal second to third, and like I said, very rarely will you see a stolen base that goes home, okay? And then right here, I'm gonna go over what a double play is. A double play or a triple play is when you get 2 outs for a double play on 1 hit, okay? I'm sorry, it wouldn't be a hit because they got out, but so, and a triple play would be when you get 3 outs off of 1 batter, okay? So, for example, a double play would be right here. This is the batter. They hit the ball, let's say, to the shortstop. The shortstop runs over, steps. Remember, when the ball's hit on the ground, you're on first base, you're forced to run. The shortstop gets the ground ball, steps on the base before this runner gets here, throws the ball to first base, and first base catches the ball before the batter gets to first. Both those players would be out, and that would be called a double play, okay? So a double play is basically when you're getting 2 outs on 1 batter, okay? And you can only do that if there's a runner on base, all right? If it's just the batter up, you can never get a double play because the only person you can get out is the batter. But if there's a runner on bases, you can get double plays. A triple play would be, boom, the batter hits it to third. Third steps on third base to get this runner out, and then throws it to second base, and second base steps on the base to get this runner out. And then second base throws it to first base to get this runner out. You would get 3 outs. We see that at school a lot because our base running skills are a little off sometimes, but very rare do you see a triple play in the big leagues or the professional leagues because it's hard to get, okay? But it is possible to get 3 outs on one play. Like I said, uncommon, doesn't happen all the time, but it is a possibility. So boom, this runner gets out by stepping here, throws to second, gets that runner out, throws to first, gets the batter out. Triple play, all right? And then all the double plays that usually happen at our school is when, remember, we're right here, the batter hits the ball in the air, the runner just takes off because they're not really watching. The center fielder catches it in the air, which makes the batter out. And because this person didn't tag up, center fielder just throws the ball back to first base before this runner gets there. They just step on the base and that runner would be out also. And that's another way that we can get a double play, all right? That's why it's also very important when the ball's hit in the air, do not just take off running, watch the ball. So students, most important thing on base running here that I can tell you is to pay attention to where the ball is being hit, all right? For example, once again, if I'm on second base and I'm not forced to run to third, if the ball's hit over here, you probably have a better chance to get there. If the ball was hit straight to third base, you may not want to try to get to third because they're going to be standing there with the ball and it's easy for them to tag you out, all right? So maybe don't run to third if the ball's hit here. Run to third if the ball's hit here because it's going to be harder for them to get you out, all right? And remember, in this situation, they're not being forced to run to third. They don't have to run to third. Why? Because there's no one on first base, okay? So basically, yeah, just pay attention to where the ball's going, all right? Let's say you're on third right here and the ball's hit right to third. You may not want to try to go home in this situation because he can just throw it right here. Now, say the ball's hit in this direction towards first, it's going to be easier for you to try to get home in that situation, okay? So pay attention to where the ball is hit to, and then determine whether or not you should try to advance to the next base or not, because there's certain times where the ball's hit too close to you and it's going to be too easy for them to get you out, so you shouldn't try to advance, okay? And then also try to remember and know when you're forced to run and when you're not forced to run, and that's basically when the bases are backed up behind you, okay? All right, once again, a lot of information. Told you guys and girls that baseball has got a lot of information in it, and that's just base running, okay? So what I want you guys to be able to take from this lesson and explain to your teachers what you learned is what a force out is, what a tag out is, what a pop-up is, how to tag up and when you need to tag up, all right? Explain what a leadoff is. Remember, we just take a couple steps off the base. It's called leading off the base to give us a little closer to the next base. Be able to tell them what a stolen base is and what double plays and triple plays are, okay? So basically everything that we just went over is what I would like you to take from this lesson and be able to explain it to your teachers, okay? So there we are, base running. I hope I have not confused you even more. I apologize if I have. But like I said, baseball playoffs are on right now. Dodgers won yesterday. Dodgers play today, so go watch some baseball and, you know, put all of this together, right? Watch baseball and be like, oh, that was a force out. Watch the game and be like, oh, he had to tag him out there, okay? The best way for you guys to comprehend this and really understand it is to actually watch it, you know, and see it happen, okay? Because this is me just moving, you know, pieces around. It's not, it can be a little confusing, but when you see it on the field and you see it on the television, you can probably see some of the stuff that I just talked about, okay? So, yeah, like I said, go watch some baseball in the next week or two. 2 weeks, it's going to be on a lot, all right? So, go Dodgers, go Cubbies. I'm a Cubs fan. We already lost, but what can you do? We can't win them all. We're not out yet, all right? So, yeah, good luck to your Dodgers. Go watch some baseball. See you guys.